officials for a loop, and it's still going on. So let's talk a little bit about, let's bring us up to date and talk a little bit about where we are today. And I think that this quote, and I don't read slides, I'll let you read it, but it's so appropriate because it is exactly what has happened. One man has made a difference in the city of Detroit that is being heard around the world. This is what we're up against. You saw it in the film. A lot has changed in the city of Detroit, but a lot has not changed as it relates to the neighborhoods and the community. So our work is more important and more relevant than ever. These are the statistics. Now, the one that's most interesting is there's a 55% African-American male mortality rate. Any of you know anything about Detroit, you know it's still 75 to 80% African-American. Well, in this particular zip code where we're located, that statistic actually means that young men between the ages of 14 and 28 only have a 45% chance of escaping death or jail. So that is one of the platforms upon which the Heidelberg Project stands and why it was so needed. You know how it began, Tyree and his grandfather. This project started in 1986. Intense layers. Now, Heidelberg has had many lives because we've had 2 partial demolitions by our city, once in 91 and again in 1999. And then as we get further down, I'll talk to you about the demolition by fire. A street scene, and that house, that particular structure is no longer standing. Also lost it as, a result of the fires. This piece here, and I don't know if I have a point, let's go back here. I just point to it here. You see the toilet? Now, I just want you to think about this. I know we've got kids in the audience, but I want you to just think about this. I'm throwing this in. This wasn't part of the script. That piece is a commode, a toilet, and it had a Bible in it cast in stone. So the piece was called Holy. It didn't last. I think maybe one of the rabbis or somebody came and picked it up. But we say those things, but then all the artist did was visually depict what that might look like, right? Made sense to me. Oh, at the top, the red thing. Gotcha. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what we've learned, because again, we're in our 31st year now. So 31 years, Tyree Guyton has been maintaining and taking care of this Heidelberg project. And our vision statement is very important because what we're talking about, what we have demonstrated is that a community can literally rebuild itself from the inside out using the culture of its community. And we have proven it. There are approximately 195 or 96 countries in the world. 144 visitors from 144 have signed our guest books. This is what we do. This is who we are. We are education and art in public schools on the street. We promote art as a catalyst for change for communities. And we advocate life or art as a way of life and not a frill. It is essential. It is so important. So those are our large, broad goals, and they have not changed. We talk about the economic impact, and this is what we're presenting to city officials. This is what they understand, right? So Williams College performed an economic impact study on the Heidelberg Project. We boast 275,000 visitors annually, but they decided they wanted to be conservative, so they took a fraction of our visitorship, only 50,000, and were able to determine that we contribute $3.2 million to the Wayne County region and another 2.4 to the immediate area. So you would think that'd be something that city officials could appreciate and respect. I think it's because they didn't do it. It's hard to determine. And recognized as the 3rd most visited cultural destination in the city of Detroit without support by the city. So now, we talked about what we've learned. Listen, this work has been so profound. I know there's many different types and concepts about this kind of work, such as creative placemaking, art as a social practice. But for us, we decided to trademark Heidelbergology because we believe that this is very specific to this particular community. And we even kind of branded our own definition because we are talking about what this experimental work has taught us. So it gives birth to 3 practices: abstract advocacy, art as a medicine, and art as a catalyst for change. Let me show you the actual examples of this, because we didn't just pull this out of a hat. This is what our work has taught us. So what is abstract advocacy? It's basically just new information that in the short term it changes attitudes, and in the long term it changes behavior. Mrs. Bell, you saw the woman in the film. I can't explain my feelings. It says justice for the neighborhood. It's a justice for the community. Well, now she's one of the #1 entrepreneurs on Heidelberg Street. Isn't that amazing, right? This is what our work has taught us, all right? Justin, the little boy that Tyree held up and he was painting on the ceiling, this is him as a baby. This is Justin grown up. Graduated from Central Michigan University, and what was phenomenal about Justin is that, you know, he came from a really rough background. You remember the statistics, right? But he is really an extraordinary young man, and is someone, and he credits the kids that Tyree painted with. They're all grown up now, you know. And when Tyree comes up here, you'll see he don't have no hair no more. But we still look good, right, Tyree? Art as a medicine, and this is the big one for Tyree, and how it's changed. So art as a medicine, this is one of the statistics. His name's David. And David spends a lot of time in jail, but when he gets out, he comes to Heidelberg Street. Why? He'll get a job. What is that? Crime prevention. So we're trying to demonstrate and show on a small scale how, you know, art and creativity can even serve as a medicine to help rehabilitate and help people like David get reintroduced back into the community. This is why it's so important to do this kind of work in a community. But it also dispels myths. You know, Detroit historically is one of the most segregated cities in the country still. It's hard to believe, but it's true. And so Heidelberg builds bridges. People who are afraid to come into the city, they have to come and experience this jaw-dropping experience of the Heidelberg Project. So this is what you see on that street, people from all backgrounds coming together, working together. And of course, this is the new makeover for the Duddy Waddy house. Previously, it had all these little bitty baby dots, right? Well, Tyree gave it a new face in 2008 in honor of our new president. And what Obama said is that he wanted people to think of the White House as the people's house. All people could relate to it. So therefore, you have these big, giant dots. Many famous people have contributed dots. 30 years of artistic excellence, and a community anchor. So these last 2 houses that you're seeing are the last 2 that are standing as a result of 12 fires. So I'm gonna skip for a minute because I want to talk about what's changing. House of Soul, right? I know a little kid asked me, what CD player do you play those in? Isn't that funny? Gone. Now, that was as a result of, and remember I said a demolition in 91, demolition in 1999, and then over 2013, 2014, we suffered 12 fires on Heidelberg Street and lost 6 prominent installations. And that act, that criminal act, is as of yet unsolved. So these are the things that are changing our landscape. But see, this is the beauty of art. See, you know, you can't even begin to think that you would just lay down after something like that. Okay, that was my double click. They're still coming from all over the world. And I think that what's most profound is how Tyree has taken the canvas from the fires and just rebuilt. Because in the end, what we're really about is not so much recycling things as much as we're attempting to recycle the human spirit. So they still coming. The lady that lives in the house next door, Mrs. Irma, she's 105. She's lived there for over 60 years. So what's next? So where we are now, a citizen-led initiative. Tyree will talk a little bit more about what he's doing, but I wanted you to know that after 31 years, we're still here doing the doggone thing, and it's fun. I say I have butterflies and have had butterflies since I met Tyree Guyton, and my life changed tremendously as a result of this work. Can get this. All right, I'd like you to do me a favor, please, and put your hands together for Dr. Tyree Guyton.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's a friend, I'm going to put him on the spot. Abe, would you stand for me, please? I met you 20-some years ago.
Probably 87 or 88.
Long time, long time. What time is it? Plato said time is the moving image of reality. So what time is it? For the last 31 years, I've been having a great time in this life. And if I die tomorrow, I have no regrets. I have done something that's going to live on. I saw the importance of taking everything I have learned over the last 31 years and saw the need to write my own theory. So I'm going to share part of it with you. 2 plus 2 equals 8. Everything is connected to everything. The invisible created what we can see. Nothing is something. In 1986, I had this epiphany. I had a vision from God. And I went outside on a beautiful Saturday morning. It was a beautiful day. And I heard it. Well, what did you hear, Tyree? I heard it to the point I was able to see it. And what I saw was so beautiful, it made me do it. The Heidelberg Project. Why did I do it? Well, I saw a need to take my neighborhood, my community that was faced with a lot of challenges, and do something incredible. I made a lot of folks upset, but that was needed. I believe as I stand here today, looking out there at you guys, talking to you guys today, that it's important to shake it up a little bit and to have some fun. Once again, 2 plus 2 equals 8. What do you mean by that? Well, you make it up. If it's not broken, then break it. My grandfather, Grandpa Sam Mackey, and you guys saw him in the film. I was 9 years of age when he gave me a paintbrush. I can still see it. And that day he gave that brush to me, in my head, in my mind, I felt something so powerful, and I knew I was on the right track. So I went to art school. And art school said to me that I didn't fit in after a period of time. And I'm going to say to you guys, that was the best thing they could have done for me, was to tell me I didn't fit in. So I went back and I started creating the Heidelberg Project, and after 25 years of research work, trial and error, I received my Doctor of Fine Art degree from the College for Creative Studies in 2009. Hallelujah. Thank that institution. The project has been a medicine. The project has been a wake-up call. The project has made a difference, and Jenenne mentioned that the whole world comes there to see that project. I was just in Philadelphia working on a big project, and you saw just a little piece of what I'm working on in Philadelphia. I'm going to take a building, and I'm going to cover that building with clocks, because I'm asking a very important question all over the world: what time is it? So what time is it, Tyree Guyton? It's time to change. It's time to go where you've been afraid to go. It's time to create some magic. And I remember when I went to Philly and they was driving me around and it was trying to find the right location. And I said to them that the wrong location is the right location. And they found it for me. I love a great challenge. And they put me in the heart of a situation that is just unbelievable. And I believe, looking at you guys, that it's so important to find yourself, to believe in yourself, and to do it when other people are saying don't do it, or when people are laughing at you. That's when you know you're on the right track. If I went back in time, guys, just say I went back in time, what would I change? Nothing. Nothing. And if you was to come over to the Heidelberg Project today, you would see clocks that's mounted on the trees up and down that block. I created this illusion. I created this time tunnel. And for real, we are living in a time tunnel, and it's called life. So what you gonna do with it? 31 years. Guess what's happening? I'm going to take the Heidelberg Project apart. I'm going to take it down in a methodical way. The project has been demolished twice. We have been faced with a series of fires, and now I'm going to take it apart. What do you mean by that? It's kind of like an elevator. And I have taken this elevator from the first floor all the way up to the top of the building, which is 30 stories. Now I'm going to take it, I'm going to come down. I'm going to reverse the process so that way I can see it from both extremes, creating it and taking it apart. I'm going to take it apart in a way, and I don't know if Jenenne mentioned this, but Jenenne and her team, they've been working on a newology, which is Heidelberg 3.0. So I'm going to create this space. And then Jenenne and her team are going to come in and they're going to do something new. It's kind of like starting over again. But I want to make it clear that it's not going to go away like that. I'm going to take it apart in stages. And then I'm going to take the project, pieces of it, around the world, like I did in Philadelphia. I had clocks to come from the Heidelberg Project to become part of the Philadelphia Project. And another reason why, guys, I see the need to do this is because I'm building bridges, connecting. Thank you, guys.
Just give us a moment as we set up some chairs.
Hi, everyone. Heard a few hellos. Thank you. I'm Will Brown. I'm the assistant curator, and I was the co-curator of this exhibition that Tyree and Jenenne helped us bring many pieces of the Heidelberg Project to Cleveland. Before we launch into a Q&A, I have a few questions, but it's going to be a casual sort of conversation. So someone is walking around with a microphone, so just raise your hand and they'll come find you, and remember to talk into the microphone. And just wait till it gets to you. We have plenty of time, because the time is now. There are 10 clocks on the where our elevator is, which is actually pretty interesting that you mentioned the elevator metaphor. So before you leave today, make sure you get a chance to step over to my right, see the 10 clocks, and see all the work that's upstairs on the 4th floor as part of the Constant as the Sun exhibition. So I also wanted to start with a big thank you to both of you, because we were just talking about meeting almost maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years. And I've been incredibly fortunate to see so many different parts of your work and what you do, and to come to the Heidelberg 3 or 4 times, try to send as many people as I can there, and to see the studio work, the work outside, and what we have in the exhibition is a representation kind of a full range of what Tyree's been doing. So there's some prints, which are made in Basel, Switzerland, a sculpture called Big Business, which is, you could actually see in the film a few times, but you'll see it upstairs, and 2 car hood sculptures, one which has your grandfather's name and face, right? Sam's face, and the 10 clocks. So I wanted to actually start by asking you about what that's like to see, for both of you, to see these works in the moment after 31 years in which the Heidelberg is coming down slowly, to see some of these objects in a museum context. So how has that changed for you to see, let's say, Big Business in a gallery, not on the street where it's been for 20 years? And we'll never go back, right, if I'm correct? It'll go to a new location.
Well, first let me thank you guys and this institution for this show, and glad to be part of it. To see it here in this institution, it's wonderful. So you take it out of one environment and you put it into another environment, and so it's wonderful. Once again, you're building those bridges, and to take it apart and then spread it around the world, I'm excited about that.
And I'm going to just say, see, we have organized tours on Heidelberg Street, so for me, something's missing. You know, and Big Business is one of the pieces that we would describe to people, and it's been on Heidelberg Street for over 25 years, and it's now here at MoCA. So for me, I kind of miss it. I kind of miss it in the context of giving tours on Heidelberg.
When we came to select to objects, right, to look, it was actually a pretty cold, rainy day, which was kind of interesting, but Big Business stood out immediately, and I said, well, I don't know if we can ask about that, because it's so central, and it felt, the first time I went to the project, it was such a defining point, because it encapsulates a lot of what you do, in that it uses one of these objects that's a long-term metaphor for you about experience in many ways, which are shoes, and there's the dotty waddy, which are the polka dots, and it has this idea about time and decay and business, really, in this old cash register. So I said, well, maybe, Megan, hey, can we ask about this? Is it okay? Is it too sort of important? And I think you said, well, how about Big Business? So it's, every time I walk up, I see it a little differently, and I see it a little differently in juxtaposition with the other works in the show. So that leads me to kind of my next question is being a kind of, your work is a kind of anchor point, I think, for this exhibition, which is about artists in the Great Lakes region making work that's socially engaged in collectives, collaboratives, about their lived daily experience. And how does that strike you to be the kind of anchoring senior but still young figure in this exhibition, where there's work of photography, sculpture, installation, there's a set of perfumes, there's sound, there's video. So how does that come? How does that feel?
I would say to you that everybody's not going to go to an institution. And so how do you get folks who won't come to learn about art? And so I think in some cases, I'm going to say this, power to the people, art for the people, and government by the people.
Well,
Which is one of the clocks, not to, it's called Power to the People. It's at the very, very, very top. And it features a, what is it, a Hulk hand? It's that sort of toy, but in the Power to the People symbol. So you can actually see the clocks as you ascend what we call our monumental stair, and they'll change quite a bit. So make sure you, I know it's a long walk. I usually take the elevator, and there's also quite a few works. There's 2 murals behind you, so make sure you get a chance to walk up the elevator and see the clocks change and get very close to them. But what were you?
I was just going to say that, you know, I'm a business person and not necessarily an artist. And I think that what's powerful about the work in this show and also with Tyree's work is the ability to speak to the average everyday person. You know, sometimes, you know, museum work is, or artists, you know, kind of have a life of their own. But I think when you can draw other people into what you're doing, it really is something that, that helps mankind in general. I think that's so important because I think artists are just as important as lawyers and doctors in terms of our culture and the way they help us to see and think. And so that's what I think is really important about the work.
Artists are usually certainly as well educated, has spent as much time in the classroom as, well, maybe not doctors. I mean, that's, you know, a decade of something I never want to be doing. But I think that's really interesting. The professionalization of art and artists, I think, is something that can be really lacking. But some art schools are addressing that quite well, I think. I think my last question before we open it up to all of you is about this transition from making work that's inside and outside to perhaps showing and making more work that's gallery-based or gallery informed by the gallery more than it would be informed by. Although there are moments when, you know, we've seen sculptures of yours that the boxing gloves that are could certainly live outside and be very interesting. But you said this is made for the inside. This is a different context. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that shift, and if one of the goals is to show more, to do more, to educate a new group in the kind of gallery or museum or institutional area.
I think in today's world, it's important for the artist to understand the importance of wearing a lot of hats. And you have to juggle, and you have to find a way to survive, and you have to find a way to sell your artwork, so you have to be able to do all of it. And so for me, changing now after all of these years, I'm just simply going back to something that I started off doing 30-some years ago, painting in my studio. And my studio led me to go outside to create the Heidelberg Project, and so now I'm going back. So once again, you can see how life and time has a way of taking you all the way back to the real deal. So I'm excited.
That's great.
So we always talk about our team. Tyree tends to be philosophical, right? And talk to you from that perspective, and I tend to be more practical. okay?
Why don't you tell them the truth?
I am telling the truth.
I can. You guys, you see Jenenne, but then there's another person, and he's not here. And so having Jenenne and Dan as part of my team, I can get in trouble. And then they have to figure all the other stuff out.
So what's happening is that, as Tyree said, he will be dismantling, and we have coined a new vision called 3.0. And the concept is that what Tyree started and this beautiful foundation that he laid is now opening itself up to a community. And community will help us to define how we're going forward. But it was a fight at first. And so that vision is really about now, again, how the art and culture can become, number one, an economic driver for the community, but also how we can engage more people right there in the community and wake up the artists in them as well.
Hey, Jenenne, also I want to say to you guys that it's been said that Tyree don't live here, and so I wanted to kind of step up, and Jenenne and her team, we just bought some land, a lot of land, a new building, a new studio for myself right there in the area. And so what we did, I took some of my own money and Jenenne, and we saw the need to put a nice
Piece of change.
yes,
In the community.
In the community.
While
Yeah.
we still fight our own city to gain the lots that we have been, I say, sharecropping for 31 years. So we've still not been successful at that, but in the meantime, as Tyree said, in the interim, we've invested nearly $1 million in that community, and that is through support by foundations and, as Tyree said, through our own money.
And folks, and I believe that art has the power to change the world, the power to change the community. Myself, once again, I love a great challenge, and so I see what's possible right there in that community. How do you fix a community? Well, you get the people to start thinking, and you use art as the medicine, and you get people who have never been exposed to art to come and to be part of it, and all of a sudden you start building these great bridges, and you begin to see change.
Well, thank you. For all of you out there who have burning questions, anyone? Raise your hand, and we'll come around.
It's not quite burning, might be a little boring, but I'm curious about the city administration's lack of support, and yet how were those lots? Did you guys just go on vacant lots and start doing this? I'd like to understand more about how that first happened.
I'm going to explain it to you in a philosophical way. You do it and apologize later.
Now I'll tell you how it really is. No, it's just like Tyree said, actually. It was guerrilla initially, but it was also, after a period of time, supported, praised, then taken down, supported, praised, then taken down. And I like the way one group of people kind of surmised the situation. They said you could get a bucket load of money and a group full of government officials, and it wouldn't be nearly as good. So what I think sometimes is that this has a lot to do with Tyree has been able to do something that other folks have not been able to do, and that is build bridges, and that is bring people back to the city of Detroit. And now he is actually coined as the godfather of the new art movement in the city. So there's really, right, it's deserving.
Thank you.
It's really hard to describe specifically. We own some of the lots that we have been able to acquire through auction, but the city of Detroit has always been resistant. Always.
Jenenne, let me jump in. John F. Kennedy, he said, and I quote, "It's not what your country can do for you, but what can you do for your country?" I saw a need to do something. I don't want to complain. I just went out there and did it. I also think that, and I was told this, I was told to stay in my place by government folks. Well, I'm an artist. I'm a magician. You don't know who you're messing with. Thank you.
Did that answer your question? Okay, thank you.
So I just want to go back a little bit in history. I met Tyree in '87 in Detroit because I married a woman from that city. And they said, you've got to go to the Heidelberg Project. So what I didn't know until today was that was year one. And year one, it seemed like it had been there for 20 years. So that was the first bit of magic for me. And then I came and photographed both you and your grandfather and acquired artwork from both of you that's still some of the strongest stuff in my life. Wow. So I'm just delighted to be able to be here and to see the evolution of this thing that when I first encountered it seemed so far along, and it keeps evolving. So I just want to express my thanks to you for having done what you did in that city.
Thank you, my friend. The evolution is so wonderful. You grow with time.
Good afternoon. Can you draw a parallel between Watts Towers in Los Angeles and your project? That's been around for many, many years and still standing in the hood, so to speak, right? And I'm sure they must have had some controversy around that project as well.
So, learned about it, heard about it, and actually worked with some of the folks that have tried to run the housing element of the Watts Towers. And for me, the parallels are, it's interesting how something that can be so fantastic and draw so much attention can also be so controversial. You know, the Diego Rivera murals are controversial at the Detroit Institute of Arts. Boy, aren't they glad they kept them? So what I think is that anytime it's worth having, anytime it's dynamic, anytime you're getting people upset, you must be doing something right. So that's what I get from it. How about you, Tyree?
I would say to you that, and we've been there several times to the Watts Tower, the energy, there's that connection. He did it his way, and I'm doing it my way, but it started with energy. It starts in here, and it starts in here. You know, you see it, you speak it, and all of a sudden you make it tangible. So I would say I see that same energy in what I'm doing and what I'm getting ready to do as far as taking it apart.
Hi, Tyree.
Hey.
Thank you for being here. I had an opportunity to drive by the Heidelberg probably about 2 years ago, and you were out raking leaves, and it was really neat to have that experience to come across and talk to you. I want to know when you're going to have a Heidelberg camp. For me, I have young boys. They're really into art, and having an experience to come into a community and work among the people in that community, learn art, learn basically, being hands-on and having a life that's not their own would be like. I mean, almost like a school, a way to inspire all the different things that you put together in your art would be a really great opportunity for younger people coming up to experience.
Jenny, you want to talk about what's happening with Heidelberg and young people?
Yeah, Heidelberg 3.0, there you go. You know, the reason we didn't do things like that more formal is because we didn't have a space. You know, they are tearing down houses, burning up houses, all we had was the lots. But with this new investment, that's exactly what we're working on. One of the most one of the most important aspects of our work has been the education. I mean, and I'm talking about from K through 12 all the way up to the collegiate level. So Camp Heidelberg, I can see it in our future, for sure. Really, I mean that, yeah.
Hi. So I noticed a lot of religious and spiritual kind of influences in your work, the face of God, the crosses, the holy toilet, and
That's a nice way of putting it.
even the death of your grandfather, that seemed like a very spiritual experience that you kind of expressed through art. Now, I grew up in a Catholic household, and I just was constantly faced with a lot of discrimination and oppression, and that's kind of all I think about when I think of religion and spirituality. So I'm kind of like curious as to what your experience with it is, and how you kind of differentiate yourself from all of the hatred and oppression that's going on in this country right now, from people who are claiming to be Christian.
I came up in the church world. I believe, I believe this, there is something greater to this whole creation. And in the writings of Plato, Plato says that we are all a toy of God, playing our parts here in this creation. I believe that. I believe that we, every single one of us, we are here for a divine purpose. And when your time is up here, you will leave here. You're born into the world at a certain time, and you will die at a certain time. And I believe this. There is something greater to this equation that awaits me on the other side of this life. I believe there's something greater.
So I have a real deep, I personally can't stand religion, but I am a doctor of metaphysics. So what that means is that I happen to know and believe, also as Tyree said, that there's something greater than us. And I like when people say, well, if I can't see it, I don't believe it. But if someone were to cover your mouth and your nose right now, that very thing that you can't see, you'll be fighting for. So there is something that is greater, that drives the human spirit, that allows a man who's been so-called beat down 2, 3, 4, 5 times to keep getting back up. And that's the breath of life. So I want to also just offer this too that I think is very profound. In our work, we are often faced with challenges. And what people don't understand is that challenges are what make you great. See, because in life you have the balance of, good and bad. It takes a negative and a positive charge just to get light. And that process of getting clothes clean in a washing machine is called agitate. So sometimes when you're faced with challenges, that means that is the opportunity for you to shine and polish and get stronger and get better and get greater. And that's a wonderful thing, actually.
Hey, Jenenne, I want to add to that. What is your name? Mark. Mark, I have a friend back in Detroit. His name is Jeff, and he's a school teacher. He's a scientist. And him and I was talking about some of the writings of Albert Einstein, and he gave me these books. So I said to Jeff, I said, before the Big Bang, I wanted to know whether or not there was something. And he said, no. And I said, I want to go deeper for me. It had to be something before the Big Bang for me. And being an artist, I find myself studying, searching. And that's why you see those clocks upstairs. I'm talking about this time, but also I'm talking about a time that don't exist, that's beyond this creation, something much deeper.
I think you're both pretty philosophical. Yeah. Anyone else?
You mentioned your investments into the city and obviously your education, but where do you see the artwork in 5 years? What are the projects that you currently have in thought that you want to play out?
In 5 years?
Well, just like maybe not 5 years, but what is up and coming? What is the evolution of the project?
Where I'm going to take the project apart in order to learn something. And so 5 years from today, I'm just going to have a good time today. I'm going to get lost on purpose to find a new reality. I'm going to make it up. And so 5 years from today, I don't know, but today I'm going to have a great time.
Well,
I remember one of the, goals when you first told me about the dismantle is a strong word, but the next stage, I'll say,
Yes.
transition, was to do more things, which we talked about a little bit earlier, but things that are perhaps in the gallery, but also to do more things like the project you're working on in Philadelphia, which is to transport one of your sort of strongest motifs, metaphors, the clock, to a new context and give it kind of an equal power. So are there other projects like that Philadelphia project that are on the horizon too, or some in development? Maybe you can't tell us, but maybe you can.
That's not for him. See, he doesn't even know what he's got going on. Isn't that funny?
Because he's enjoying today.
And that is the truth. I mean, what Tyree's saying is true. So I will tell you that he has an exhibition in Birmingham, Alabama right now. We're talking with a gallery in Brooklyn, New York. He is doing the Philadelphia project, and now I'm missing something. But there's always, we're working on a big project for LA. But we're still in the kind of like development stages of that. So there's always something going on, but the greatest thing going on is always what's going on at home. Trust me, there's always a lot going on at home, so yeah.
Hey, well, also I want to back up and talk about the project I did in China. Jenenne and I, it was a great big project. I was invited to come to China to work on this project, and just had a great time over there. Shenzhen Biennale. Couldn't speak the language. Once again, I find art to be universal. And because I was working on a project, and I was there working with folks in China who was working on the project, we was able to communicate through art.
Anyone else? Oh, yes.
It seems like this project was an attraction to a lot of tourists. So what's going to happen now? Are they going to come? And how many buildings are left in the street that's still standing?
So she's asking, she said it seemed like it was a heavily tourist attraction. So what will they come and see? And what buildings are left? So that's what I meant when I said the project has had many lives, many metamorphoses. And one gentleman who keeps coming, we asked him, why does he keep coming back? He said, because it's always changing. So perhaps that's a good thing. The fact that it does change, and that's what we think will keep people coming back.
Change is so needed, and I mentioned that I've been working on this project for 31 years. So I'm going to reverse the process, and I'm going to take it apart. And as I'm taking it apart, I'm going to learn from that. And that's going to keep people coming. I mean, people are coming now because they heard that I was going to take the Heidelberg Project, so now they're running over there like crazy, thinking it's going to go away tomorrow. And so all I'm going to say to you is that they're going to keep coming. And if I took it away tomorrow, just say I took it all the way tomorrow, people are going to come regardless because it was once there.
Well, thank you. I think that's a great note to end on. I want to also say thanks to all of you for coming out on a incredibly beautiful Saturday. It's hard to come inside. And please make sure you go up and see all of our exhibitions. There's an exhibition on the second floor by Keith Mayerson called My American Dream. There's a very small exhibition in the very back of the fourth floor gallery called Liu Yang Delusional Mandala, which is all video. And then, of course, there's the Constant as the Sun exhibition, which is in the fourth floor Mueller Gallery. There's 2 murals behind you. Tyree's clocks are on the elevator. There's a video that'll play here, and then a sound installation in our yellow stairway in case you want to get disoriented and lost and confused, for those of you who've been in there. So thanks again, and thanks to both of you. It's been a real privilege to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.